So the big question is this: how do voiceover artists like us who are looking to take our careers to the next level, but don't buy into the claims of needing expensive equipment and demos, start bringing in new clients? How do you follow a clear path to changing your voiceover side hustle into your full-time job and stick it to those that said you couldn't? Those are the questions, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Earl Hall, and welcome to In the Booth with Earl Hall, the leading edge of voiceover. Welcome into the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to In the Booth with Earl Hall, the leading edge of voiceover. I'm going to be bringing our guest on screen in just a moment, but I'm super excited, just amazed to have Jim McCarthy here on the show with me today. Many of you are watchers of his YouTube channel. If you're not, then you need to be. I put the link to his YouTube channel in the description for this because I want to make sure that everybody follows this guy. He is one of the folks that is on the leading edge of voiceover as well. Welcome to the show, Jim. Glad to have you here, buddy.
Glad to be on. Thanks for having me.
Well, people are excited. Folks are just streaming in now to see what's happening. But, you know, Jim, as I told you, I came aware of you through one of the folks that is in the group now for Steps to Voiceover Success. Actually, one of the admins in my group, John Grimes, is on right now, actually, taking a look at what we're going to be talking about today, and watched a bunch of your videos and just was... I felt like I was home. I felt like, oh my gosh, I am actually not the only one out here that has some sense about what's going on.
I've been validated.
Yes, I have been validated. Thank God that I am not a lone wolf crying in the wilderness out here. But Jim, also, I mean, you're the voice of the show for Grant Cardone, his podcast that he has. That was the other way that wait a minute, that guy sounds familiar. Oh yeah. He does the intro for
the
Grant Cardone.
You
know. Exactly. Well, Jim, let's dive into this, because one of the areas that I want to go into is this whole thing around the current state of the market in voiceover and pricing. And you've got some hard-hitting things to say about what all these other folks that are the experts in this thing have to say about it. What's the best advice you have for us on this topic? Because I know you got a lot.
As far as pricing?
As far as pricing and those out there that would try to control what it is that you do with your pricing.
Right. And it's my basic foundation on talking about this always comes from having that background of the lowball client. You know, we're all going to get them. And a lot of people have essentially hijacked the notion of, well, you either got to flame the lowball client publicly on Facebook or in a forum or whatever, and just completely, you know, annihilate. And I don't understand that, because we're in a great economy right now, amazing economy. It's not going to last forever. Who are over 40 years old, 35 years old, know that these things are cyclical. And I think that with the way the marketplace is, and I think I've said that, you know, anywhere from 5 to 10,000 people, I want to say the people who identify themselves as being a voiceover actor in the United States is somewhere maybe around, I think it's like 5 or 10 million people that identify themselves as a voiceover.
Wow.
Right. That's one term.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Technology has allowed everybody to onboard into this business for $300-400. You can go to Guitar Center, pick up a microphone, get a digital IO, plug it into your computer, hang a shingle, get on Fiverr. You can be a voice actor. You really can.
Yep.
Okay. That's the reality. What's upsetting most people, most of the legacy people that have been I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
What upsets them is it's now cutting into their piece of the pie. Okay. And they're upset at the newbies that are coming on and selling it for $5, $10, $20. I can understand where they're coming from. Yeah. You know, you understand, like, do you have any idea how much more you could be getting? I understand that notion, but obviously some people don't. Okay. But they're happy working for $50 or whatever.
Yeah.
To essentially work for 10 minutes. That's what I kind of look at. I'm like, guys, we're still making a pretty good chunk of change. I think that's better than most attorneys make if you really start breaking it out, you know. So it's $250 an hour at that point. if you're
Exactly.
able to stack it back to back. So as far as pricing, I find what's comfortable for me and what I get typically ask for. And I saw a meme the other day that somebody had put out. It said it was a picture of Dirty Harry and somebody. It was like two different juxtaposed images of the client asking, "What's your rate?" and then the voiceover artist coming back on, "What's your budget?" And and then the comment thread was just some guy flaming the original poster, who's a great friend of mine.
Wow.
And, just like, well, this is the problem. I'm like, oh, gosh, here we go. You're part of the problem. You're a bottom feeder. You should just put your rate out there and bam, that's it.
The bottom feeder.
Dude, but when they come out and start saying that, this is how you should do it. Just put your rate out there and that should be good enough. Well, no, I got news for you. Sometimes it isn't.
Yeah, absolutely right on that.
Sometimes you have to work the client a little bit. All right. It's called the sales process.
There you go.
And when you have people that come out of the box like that, they're probably pretty successful and they can get away with it because, some voices are better than others. Their demos are produced way better than others. You're going to get people who have, they've got the track record. They've got the book of business. For somebody new coming on board, just putting their rate out there just like that, you got to know how to navigate that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's a scary position to start out the gate. That you're scared.
Yeah. And it's showing who's going to pull their pants down first is what I talk about.
Yeah.
Try the client on. And, there's nothing wrong with asking, well, what is your budget for this kind of a project? Because there's a lot of, gray area. And people try to, well, you got to go by the GVAA rate guy. I get all that. What's the use? Dude, just talk to your client. Make the rapport.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's one of those things, and talking about all of you were talking about the meme earlier and people commenting negatively on the meme and things. The one thing that gets me a lot with the negative energy that's out there within so many different people, you've got half an hour to an hour, 5 hours all day to go and lambaste someone for something that they posted. And you're wondering why you're not getting voiceover work. It's like,
but like what we talked about before we went on. The guys who are usually the loudest are the ones that if you try and coach them and say, well, maybe if you did this, they're the ones that go, oh, no, I'm doing just fine. It's all you other bozos and losers out there that are ruining it for the rest of us. But I'm doing just fine. I just want to let everybody know, let it be known on the record, I am doing just fine. I am doing better than fine. I am dominating this market because I hold my rate. But you better hold yours. Yeah, you better. But I'm doing just fine.
It's like, when you get an order, at a certain point, we develop, the longer you've been in this, we start developing our rates better and better. And now the thing is, if I'm saying it's going to cost you $350 for me to do your 1 minute commercial, and you're like, well, Earl, my budget's really, my budget is $275. Really, it's all I can afford. I'm going to turn down the $275.
Or better yet, you say, I understand that it's $275, and that's your budget and everything. Here's how I work. Okay. Typically for $350, here's what you get. Blah, 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 blah. I lay out all my value points. As long make sure you get on the phone with them or face to face, better yet, or even getting a coffee. But I typically, for something like this, a fair rate for what I do. And believe me, you're going to be getting retakes. You're going to be getting all this stuff, value. Mm-hmm. Is there any way, can we bump it up to maybe 300? This way I can feel comfortable about offering and making sure I give you the time you need to make sure the project, because I really like your project. Is that something that would be fair to you? Mm-hmm. And that's a trial close.
Those negotiating skills are so important for the newbie, for the person that's been in it for a long time. And if you're afraid to, come to a point where either you say no or, okay, I'll do it for that. But if you're afraid to have the conversation, then that's kind of showing your skill set or lack of skill set in the marketing and sales arena as well. And the way that you're going to make it in this thing is to be able to market and sell yourself appropriately, because make no mistake, you're a salesperson.
First and foremost. Absolutely.
In this whole thing, how is it that, Jim, that you came about understanding the sales side of this? Because I know you come from radio. So, and so you've been doing this over 2 decades at this point. How did that work for you to get to the point where, okay, this is my sales process and this is what I'm going to do?
Because at some point I sold cars. And I think that's one of the best schools that you could attend. Honestly, it's one of the best business schools you could ever attend is to sell. If you take it seriously and you understand what is being taught by your managers, and hopefully you got a good set of managers that are showing you stuff and how to navigate a sale, because you're getting practice every single day, selling people the second largest purchase they'll ever make.
Right.
Okay, aside from a house.
Yeah.
When you're doing that on a daily basis, like I did, it was, you really start getting good at it. I sold Mercedes. I sold Honda first, and I sold Mercedes for a couple of years. And that really, I simply took what I learned and started coaching it and applying it in my own business. And it just, hockey stick. I've always done fine beforehand, and I've done a lot of video work, a lot of voiceover work in the creative space. Always thought I knew how to sell until I got into the car business. Then I knew how to sell. Then if that makes sense.
I get it.
I knew how to close, which was the ultimate thing that a lot of people, it's one thing to sell. It's another thing to close, to actually get to the finish line and ask those pointed questions to get them to the end zone and put the blinders on and make sure that when you leave the meeting that there's either going to be a commitment for another meeting or what are we doing next, some sort of commitment. If it's not going to be the gig, there's something that's going to happen and you need to ask for that.
So many people are scared to ask for that sale. They're scared to ask for the sale. I remember, I don't know why this memory came to mind, but when George W. Bush was running the first time for president, the son, George, and he said that one woman had told him that I would have voted for you, but you never asked for my vote. You did a lot of talking, but you never asked for my vote. It comes down to a point where you've got to be able, unapologetically, not afraid to ask for the sale.
Yeah.
Absolutely. With that. And people look at sales so many times with a dirty connotation, kind of the pun about being a used car salesman type of mentality, but we all get that. And so if you have an aversion to selling, then the best thing to do is to realize you don't have to sell like that. You don't have to be the scum of the earth. You don't have to be the in your face type of guy or gal or the pushy type of salesperson if you have a quality product, because then you know that you can do this and there's a reason why you charge what you charge and you ask for what you ask for.
Similar to voiceover. Over time, as we all do it, 20 years, I know what my center is, what my strengths are. It's also finding your voice in the in the actual not prospecting, but finding your voice in voiceover. But it's incumbent upon everybody, if you want to be a success, especially in this day and age, in this technologically advanced age we live in, to find out a basic sales process and practice it every single day if you can, especially with a lowball client. Don't dismiss them. Bring them on board. Treat them like a brick of gold. And eventually you'll find your own sales voice. It's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to be selling a great product because you know what you can stand behind and what you're able and capable of doing. But finding how to, the sales process is the meet and greet, the discovery, kind of an uncovery meeting, hopefully getting in front of people with a value proposition. Value proposition leads to a trial close, which leads to a close, which leads to doing the gig, which leads to the follow-up and getting referrals. That's the sales process. There's also the element of the 5 equity points of a lowball client, which I call that.
Okay.
The first point is you get an email and the guy's trying you on for, well, what are your rates for this? I have this.
Yeah.
Okay. That's your first instance into your sales process. Now you can come right back and say, well, this is my rate. Then all of a sudden you get crickets. Right. Or you can try engaging the customer, because first, one of the many rules in the sales process, one of the big ones is the person who asks the questions is the one who drives the conversation.
Sure.
So you come back and say, well, when can we get together on a call? Not when can we make an appointment? Not when can we do this? When can we get together? Okay. Because friends get together.
Right. When
can we get together on a call to discuss your project? Let's talk about this. Before we talk about rate, what are we talking about here? What kind of project is this? And that point, the first equity point of that is being able to exercise your sales proposition and be